None of that. Nope. None of that. No, no, no. Yep. None of that. No, no, no. I'll just keep saying that for the next hour. It's possible. It's very possible. Yep. Where is it? Here we go. Here's what I'm looking for. Yep.
Whatever the fuck she's doing now.
Hey,
no
hey.
So I apologize.
Radio friendly.
But my point is,
yep.
This kid's gonna fucking go.
Hey, watch
this
it.
Kid has to go.
Oh, wait a minute.
Wait
a minute.
Oh. He pushed me. I went over to. I went over to. He pushed me over to her.
Yep.
I don't know what the fuck is this.
Hey.
I've never bled in my life. Somebody fights.
I've never bled in my life.
I've never had this happen to me. This kid is no fucking good.
Hey. He's your son.
So if you want to say whatever you want, she said what she did, and I apologize, but she didn't do anything wrong.
What happened?
She wanted to grab her dog
right
from the bedroom.
Okay.
And he got up out of the bedroom and pushed her. And pushed her through the fucking door. I was taking a piss.
What?
I came on, I stepped over. I said, what are you doing? I went back. I don't know what happened here.
A little bit too much information. Don't worry, JR. We're not going to play that over. We're not going to play that in 3 minutes. Wow. Folks, a lot of highlights here on the program. Yes. That's one of them. Yep. Just another Democrat fundraiser in Rhode Island. All right. We'll be live in 3 minutes on this sunny Thursday. 3 minutes on the sunny Thursday. Yes, we are. Is this the noon news? Yes, it is the noon news. This is the real noon news, as I like to say. Folks, good afternoon. I mean, could the weather be better? Time for crime. Yes. Now, again, last night was not major. Last night was not. Well, anyhow, we'll address it. Not too much, but I will address. All right, we are live. Remember, you can share that you are watching. We are live. Who do I spy on this? There's Amanda. That's right. Amanda, watch your language. Amanda, come back to the subscriber group. All is forgiven. There's Stephanie. It is. Yes, perfect day. Perfect weather. It never gets old, says Amanda. Crystal Davis loves that. There's Carol. Hola. And Farah, folks. This is it. Wait a minute. Oh, you know what? It's always better here when we see Andrea Lemire. Yes, you can. I'll check later. There's Liz Flynn. Yes. Okay. Well, that was your first mistake. All right, folks, we're live in 1 minute. Stop this foolishness, chosen one. 1 minute. Where's Magritte? Still marching around, trying to hit up the Joe Mazzulla for free tickets to a Celtics game. Watch it, Magritte. I kind of think you're not supposed to do that, but Magritte, hold on. Everybody back up so I can get a photo with the Celtics trophy. Oh, yeah, that's right. A 7-year-old was shot and killed. I mean, could the guy get any worse? I love how Attorney General Noronha is absolutely taking one shot at him after another. Because, you know, Magritte, very, very thin-skinned. The thinnest of skins, as a matter of fact. All right, folks, we are live in 1 minute. 1 minute, whether people like it or not. That's a fact. It's 12:06. This is the real news at noon. And we shall commence and begin our broadcast. And there it is at 12:06 on what is yet another. Wow, September is off to just, well, weather-wise, a spectacular start. It's actually off to a very violent start, but a spectacular weather month, especially the first few weeks of September. Have you noticed? Just ideal. Folks, Good afternoon. This is the Real News at Noon on this Thursday, September 5th. You're listening. It is The Chosen One. Now, remember, you can watch Facebook Live, check. YouTube Live, thanks to Bendy, check. Live on X, oh, yep, check. And then obviously, thanks to JR and the great Jeff Gamach, shout out to 401 Amy. You can also obviously AM 1380, 99.9 FM. And you can always listen online at the website, dpetro.com. This portion of the program, folks, PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Steve, Debbie, Junior, Byron. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. And right now, the name of the game, 2 words, sourced, well, 3 words actually, locally sourced vegetables, sweet corn, native tomatoes, you name it. Folks, especially this weather, this is ideal for planting outside. So it cools down at night, as we know. You don't need as much watering, but look at this beautiful sunshine. And next Saturday is going to be 80. Folks, PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. They're open 7 days a week, full-scale nursery. I would argue, and I have, they're Rhode Island's #1 garden center. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Pop in and see them, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Now, am I aware a lot of people are buzzing about dpetro.com? I am. There's going to be more of a buzz. Later today, we should get the go-ahead that we can legally put up these videos. I believe it'll be later today. We're still waiting. Are they controversial? I don't know. I don't like to use that word. They're certainly compelling. I'll give you that. And they're definitely, people will be talking about them. But I shy away from the word controversial. Never been a big fan of that. To me, there are people that have controversial positions. Like Jeff Charles was someone. He had controversial position. Here's what should happen. He had these whacked out. No, those were controversial. A controversial viewpoint is not, we should have lower sales rates than Massachusetts and Connecticut. A controversial position, to me, school choice should not be considered. Well, that's pretty controversial. Controversial position should not be, I don't think people from new arrivals from foreign lands should be voting in our elections. But some people consider that controversial. But the videos we're going to put up, they're powerful. They're unique. I'll give them that. And they're original. And we will have them up later on dpetro.com, which is brought to you by the Cohasset Inn, 226 Cohasset Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge with Anthony Santos. And the market is open at Cohasset. And remember, Cohasset Inn can accommodate the collation lunch. Okay, someone has passed away. You're going to have funeral services. Here's the big question. Where are we going for lunch? Who can handle a group of 30? Who can handle a group of 40? The Cohasset Inn. They can handle 100. I was at the Cohasset Inn for a collation lunch, which is, the gathering after. There's a mass, burial. Where are we going? I was there. They had 150 people that were there. Not every restaurant can handle that. The Cohasset Inn, 226 Cohasset Avenue in West Warwick. Now, I want to just start off the situation regarding the 7-year-old shot. Boy, it was nice of Governor McGreed to get around to it, mentioning it. I'm just glad the 7-year-old losing her life didn't interfere with his photo op with the Celtics championship trophy. I mean, the guy is he can't get out of his own way. So, but what would you expect from someone that pals around with Pork Boy? But I want to get to yesterday. Governor McGreed did put out a statement. Yeah. Here's Governor McKee. And what was the T-shirt he was wearing with the Joe Mazzulla of Johnson, the coach of the Boston Celtics? Whatever it takes. That's how I feel about getting him out of office. Whatever it takes. So it was a photo op. What he did, as I said, it's one of the perks of being the governor. But it shouldn't be. The problem with this governor is he just likes the perks of the job. He likes where he gets to sit at a PC game. He likes as governor, he's got a driver. He likes as governor that he gets to, whatever, greet the coach of the Boston Celtics. He likes that. He loved the Army-Navy game, which is why he didn't tip people off that they were going to close the bridge. He doesn't like the hard work of the job. If Governor McKee were working for someone, he would always, his management style is that of he likes being the good cop. He doesn't like being the bad cop. Granted, he has Tony Silva, who actually is a bad cop. But Governor agreed yesterday, we owe it to our kids to address the gun violence epidemic in this country. In Oneyville this weekend and in Georgia today, gun violence was perpetrated against children. It's unacceptable in Rhode Island. It's unacceptable in the U.S., and it's past time we act to prevent future violence. Let's just break that down just for a moment. Now, not to be outdone, Helena Foulkes, who we believe is going to challenge him in a Democrat primary, but let's just break that down. Oneyville this weekend. Well, not to be a stickler, but it actually happened Thursday night. It actually happened Thursday night. That tells me that someone, like, he wasn't even aware of it. He wasn't even aware of when it happened. And I also think he spelled Oneyville wrong. Let me just double check that, because I don't want to then go out on a limb but no, okay, he spelled it right. But getting back to, be that as it may, perpetrated against children, unacceptable in Rhode Island, unacceptable in the U.S., past time we act to prevent future violence. Well, listen, he's always banging the drum about gun measures and mostly against legal gun owners. So, but let's talk about, since he got around to it, what happened this past weekend in Oneyville. Well, it was actually at 7:40 Thursday night. And the thing about that is, I think details matter. I think facts matter. And when you get something like that wrong, it didn't happen Saturday. It didn't happen Sunday. It didn't happen Monday. She died. She died on Monday, late afternoon. They announced the murder charge and that she had passed away, which is why the police announced it, because then they announced there was a murder charge. But she was actually shot Thursday night. Not that he even seemingly knows. What is surprising is Lieutenant Governor actually lives in Oneyville, or she did, Matos, before she was then sleeping on her sister's couch to run in the CD1 race, which she lost in the primary to Gabe Amo. But be that as it may. Now, the situation in Georgia, but I want to talk about what happened with the 7-year-old. I want to talk about that, because what Governor McKee doesn't take onus to is that through his policies, and I've talked about this, the state has an element of lawlessness. When you have a sanctuary state, which is exactly what Rhode Island is. Period. End of story. A lot of people, unknowingly or not paying attention, say, well, and McKee likes to, well, Providence might be, but the fact of the matter is, we know there is no difference between the way someone is treated in Cranston compared to the way they're treated in Providence, the way they're, and I'm talking about a criminal, compared to how they're treated in Pawtucket or how they're treated in Central Florida. So the idea that just Providence is a myth and falsehood that he's more than happy to go along with. But this element of the gun violence, he perpetrates and increases, as I've talked about, an element of lawlessness. Now, what happened with last Thursday night? I'm gonna touch on that. And I'm not trying to give an unpopular position, but there's something more to this instead of everyone just kind of giving the obvious. But first, folks, I want to remind you, if you're thinking of doing any type of work, or you need work done, on your home or commercial business, contact AJ Home Improvement today, 401-323-9252. They can do frame to finish basements. They can do acoustical ceilings. They could build you a new home, or they could do an addition on your home. I mean, they could do it all, but many times people aren't calling them saying, hey, I'd love you to build me a new home. They just say, I want to improve my current home. I want to improve my current business. I want to Maybe you have an unfinished basement. A lot of people are having work done in their garage now. So, folks, AJ Home Improvement. I know of a couple people now that are turning their garages into Airbnbs. They don't really use the garage. They've had it redone, had some plumbing put in, and suddenly they just like rent it on the weekend for an Airbnb. Folks, AJ Home Improvement. Call today, 401 323 9252. Framed or finished basements, acoustical ceilings, new homes additions, commercial rehabs. They do it all. Call them for a free quote for your home or business. Maybe just a fresh coat of paint can change the dynamic of the inside of your home or business. You know, if you've ever been in someone's home where all they did was just have the entire inside of the home painted, it looks like they have a new house. AJ Home Improvement, 401 323 9252. Now, the shooting last Thursday, this was a series of bad decisions. Clearly, the adults are responsible. I get the narrative. I am not in any way. I like On the Scene Levine of NBC 10 that did the package. I've covered more on the set little 7-year-old little Niall than anyone has, as a matter of fact. But let's talk about that night. What is missing here, and partly there's several factors to this. Number one, there is a sensitivity factor. The child, they haven't even had the funeral for the poor little child yet. And no, losing a child, it is in real life, when I have dealt with people that lose a child to illness, someone who had their child at Children's Hospital, or children who the family loses them through a tragic accident. It can be a pool drowning. There's a variety of different things that can happen. In movies and television, many times they move on, but they don't forget. In real life, people that I've known that have dealt with that, the real truth is they never get over it. They never get over it. It's just so unnatural, and it's just so horrible all the way around. When you take the life of a child, you really are taking the life many times of everyone involved in the family. However, that said, now then what you deserve and need, and this is why it's the Real News at Noon, is you're an adult. I want to repeat, this program is for adults. This program is for adults that want to deal in reality. I want to be very clear. My program is not for everyone. It's not. And I don't mean that such as if I say it's adult content and adult themes. What I mean by that, it doesn't mean there's foul language. It doesn't mean there's violence or suggestive, overt sexual references that would be inappropriate that you might see in an R-rated film or something beyond that. Even though I don't know. I don't even know of any films that are playing right now. But anyhow, nonetheless, but what I'm talking about is people that really want to know what's going on. So, the news of the 7-year-old, what happened, and people saying what happened, blah, blah. So what I have learned, and no one knows this yet, but you have 3 adults that are actually 4, but we're going to stick with the 3. You have the 2 suspects, one 19, one 26, and then you have the father, of which, boy, when you hear the accounts, when I first we heard he was going to get school snacks for the second little, and this has no reflection on the children. I stand by my comment. For some reason, there's some people on Instagram that are so upset that I said you can't pick your parents. I'm not breaking news here. I mean, you can't pick your family, and you certainly can't pick your parents and with the environment these children live in. But now we've learned he was taking them to 7-Eleven. I can't follow. It was either before dinner or after dinner. At 7:40, the mother's making dinner, so he's going to take them to 7-Eleven. Before that, no more than 10 or 15 minutes, and then he has this encounter. Now, what I've learned is that the father, 27 years old, he knew the 19-year-old. He had had a run-in with the 19-year-old. This had been a back and forth. The 19-year-old and those around him claim that, I think it was about a year and a half ago, that the father fired at the 19-year-old when he was either 18 or 17. Now, but here's the several factors involved here. And I want to be really clear. I'm in no way, as I have stated, and I'll repeat, Steve, you have the father's responsible, and then the two shooters that got out of the vehicle, the two suspects. That's who's responsible. There was a female driver. She did stop the car. I know some people are pointing the finger at her. I don't know if there's going to be criminal charges. Maybe she was transporting them after they had committed an act of violence. It's possible. We don't know if someone's cooperating, but I don't see that person as a main player here. I've also heard there was some relationship potentially between the female driver and then the father of the other car. That I don't know. But when this, and also, which hasn't been revealed, is the 17-year-old, or he's 19 now, his family actually knows the family of the father. So I'm not saying best friends, but distantly, definitely knew them. And there was some kind of a running feud or beef. I don't know. But back when the father reportedly, allegedly fired a weapon at the 19-year-old, I have a very simple question that I believe I already know the answer to. And that is, was that reported to the police? And I am willing to bet the answer is going to be no. And this is this element of lawlessness that exists in the inner city. I don't hear anyone talking about it. And I'm not putting down some of the people that work with many of these individuals, like the Institute for Nonviolence. I saw the new director there had been Cedric Huntley. There's a new director there. I'm not putting any of those people down. But how many times, as I've said, when you're watching Road Patrol, we hear someone walked into Miriam Hospital, Rhode Island Hospital. They have a gunshot wound. And what happens? They don't cooperate. I've already only one to report that apparently when the father was at Hasbro, that's what I've been told, that he was not cooperating with police. And so my point is, when you have these elements of street justice and lawlessness, because that's what it is, and this whole mentality of you don't talk to the police, it festers, and it is, it's, to me, it's one of those things. It's not talked about enough, and children talk about that. And if you, those of you that watch Road Patrol, so I want to just tell you the story quickly. Many of you will remember what happened. It was on Academy Avenue, and I'm going to off Academy, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But folks, I want to remind you about, if you're having a problem with foot pain, maybe it's some kind of a skin condition, or maybe you're in real pain, Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialist. Call them today. Schedule an appointment, 401-949-3220. Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialist, 401-949-3220. They have beautiful facilities in the Smithfield Medical Center. They take all health insurance. They have 3 board-certified podiatrists on staff that can treat you. And they can treat you for skin conditions. Maybe it is bunions or hammer toe, fracture, sprain, plantar fasciitis, whatever it is. If you suddenly are experiencing foot pain as you're trying to maneuver around, it incredibly takes a toll on your quality of life. If you're listening to me right now or watching on this Thursday, and you or a family member have some foot pain, how much longer are you going to suffer with it? It's not normal, number one. Or number two, how long is this going to go on where you no longer can go A, B, and C because you have foot pain? Get it corrected. They'll take care of it. They have digital x-ray on site. You can make a quick diagnosis and begin treatment immediately. Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialist, 401-949-3220, 401-949-3220. Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialist. Well, folks, good afternoon, 1226. Now, also, by the way, last night we did do Road Patrol. It was incredibly quiet. right around 9:45, some drunk on Broad Street with a box cutter slashed a couple people. Now, yes, I do. Do I? Yes, guilty. I wish that had happened while we were out there. Especially, I was 1 mile away. We could have been up before. However, there's an online scene at 9 o'clock, triple stabbing in Providence. Listen, that's not accurate. Okay, that is not accurate. And there's a difference of, for those of you that follow Road Patrol, anywhere around Crossroads, there's always problems in and around. Now, this isn't around Crossroads. This is closer to Public Street. So, but anywhere around Crossroads, there's always problems. Kennedy Plaza always has problems. There's just certain sections, there's always problems. There's a huge difference between a year ago, there was a fatal stabbing. Two people having an argument in an apartment, and it was in Silver Lake, and it was a vicious, brutal, fatal stabbing. Now, there's a difference between that and a couple of drunks that are out on a corner, get away from me, like that, or hey, that's my corner, and they have the box cutter and they catch someone. So there is a difference, but there's this one Facebook type account, 3 stab 9 o'clock. That is false. I also want to once again emphasize, and I can't emphasize this enough. The shooting was targeted. Obviously not the little girl. They were going for the father. And by all accounts, I'm gonna wait. I'm making a decision to wait until after the little child is buried. I know that Channel 10 promoted there's a GoFundMe. Well, I'm hesitant to promote that. The father's a criminal, and the information that I have is he instigated it. When they got out of the car, I'm not excusing what they did. There's no excuse to discharge the weapon. I repeat, there's no excuse to discharge the weapon. But when they got out of the vehicle, he rammed his car at them. So he had 2 kids in the back seat. He could have gone the other way. He could have said, I'll deal with you later. He could have found them later. I don't think it's that tough. So he didn't do that. I'm sure he regrets not doing that. But I am certainly not promoting a GoFundMe for that criminal, because that's exactly what he is. Jacket's an inch thick. But the mentality that I was talking about, if you remember on Road Patrol, we were off Academy, and it turned out there was a fight in a neighborhood, off Academy. I think it was either on Wisdom or Lisbon. I think it was on Wisdom. So in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood, right down from Mount Pleasant Church, and I actually used to live right over there many years ago now. But anyhow, nonetheless, so I know the neighborhood. But if you remember, this was a story. There was a fight, and they were using bats and bricks and chains and so forth. So while I am there, there's a group of kids behind me. And some of you may remember. And so one of the children says, I saw what happened. I said, oh, you did? Yeah. I said, you want to tell us about it? Yeah, sure. So he starts saying, yeah, I saw it. And they came out with a brick, and they had the chain, and they had bats, and they were swinging them. Oh, okay. And they even came back and said, hey, can we put that? I said, yeah, put it on Instagram. So then his friend filmed him like, hey, the backlash I got from this. So listen, they're English speaking. I don't know how old they are. They came up to me. I'm standing there. I don't know what the drill is. What I heard from that was, and I had to delete it because I didn't feel like dealing with it. You are putting his life in danger. He shouldn't be snitching. First of all, I'm not the police. We did take down the video because of that. I'm not the police. So, but why? Why is his life in danger? Because he's reciting what he saw? I have no idea what his motive might be. I don't know. 14 years old? Seemed kind of like a big husky kid. I think, if I remember, I think he said he played football. So I don't fully remember, but these people were then like, you're putting his life. I mean, I'm not even going to get into how high this went up. No one questions, gee, maybe there's something wrong with the mentality that a child is coming under fire for then explaining seemed truthful to me. Yeah, I was playing over there. We suddenly saw the fight break out. He came over with a bat. They had bricks. It's not a 5-year-old. Wasn't exactly sure how old. I mean, it's tough sometimes to tell how old children are. That's not just me. I mean, I think that's anybody. So, but no one. There were adults. There were adults saying, by keeping that video, you're putting him and his family in danger. Think about that. This is 2024 in Providence, Rhode Island. It wasn't a homicide. He wasn't ratting out the mob boss on a robbery. He didn't see some guys digging a pit, burying, someone they knocked off. This is a kid in the neighborhood, like, yeah, I saw that one came across. He wasn't giving names. He was just saying, I saw somebody with a bat, somebody else had a brick. And then, I mean, I'm not trying to put anybody in danger. They approach me. You can't do that. And these were adults. What message is that sending him and his friends and all the kids? You don't say anything. You don't snitch, right? I mean, that is the opening or one of the scenes in Goodfellas, right? Henry Hill. Remember when he got pinched and he's coming out of the courthouse, so they're all there. Remember, you never rat on your friend. Well, this kid, he's not ratting on his friends. He's saying something he saw in the neighborhood. I repeat, I don't hear anyone, certainly not an elected official. I don't hear anyone preach that maybe we should relook at that policy where you don't say anything. And many times, and I want to get, this ties in with, there was a Channel 12 story. Every once in a while, these stories pop up in the news. And I want to touch on that in just a moment. But folks, I want to remind you about Dreammaker, bath and kitchen. If you're thinking of redoing on this beautiful Thursday, maybe you're saying, now that summer's over, I am thinking of redoing my kitchen or bathroom. Dreammaker, bath and kitchen. Dennis and Christina are the type. Let me be very clear. As a matter of fact, let me be crystal clear. They are the type of people you want to do business with. Dreammaker. Call today, 401-433-7272. They have a beautiful state-of-the-art design center located Greenwich Avenue, right near Crown Plaza in Warwick. Dreammaker, 401-433-7272. One stop, take you from concept to completion. Dennis and Christina at Dreammaker. What are their values? Respect, integrity, customer focus. Listen to me. This is who you want to do business with. Dreammaker. Experience upgraded living. I love sharing their Facebook page. And what do I write? I write, this could be your kitchen. This could be your bathroom. Dreammaker. Call them, set up an appointment. If you're listening or watching on this Thursday, and maybe you've been thinking of redoing your kitchen or bath, Dreammaker, 401-433-7272. Now, I'm not trying to call out the TV stations. I'm not trying to call out the TV stations. I'm not. Nope, not here for that. But I did want to mention, and I do mention this from time to time when it pops up in the news, and that is, there was, and it was just back in the spring, an unsolved cold case. We talked to the family, and the reporter is saying, anyone with information, come forward. And then the family is saying, someone saw. And then the one that I'm thinking of is there were a number of people in an apartment. And I don't know whether or not they were all supposed to be there. I don't know all, but what I do know is there were a number of people in the apartment. And then somebody got shot, and then they were killed. But this person, it's my understanding, arrived at the apartment with their, quote, friends. So this business of it's a cold case, and, if anyone knows anything and blah, 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 and the family, like what they're ignoring is there are people that know exactly what happened. There are people, his friends, that witnessed what happened. And they're not cooperating. The police can't be everywhere. There are many situations where people don't cooperate. The Maya Brophy Bayerman case, that seemed unimaginable to me. And we were pleading with people information to come forward. When they had the trial of Sean Mann and that SOS Cap Pinkerton, complete waste of life, what we learned was there were people that were aware what they had done that night. Yeah, they totally knew about it. Two complete wastes of life, low lives. There were people that knew, and they didn't say anything. They didn't say anything. Now, eventually, because of the reward, then they did say something. But initially, this went on for months. So my point is, I don't hear anyone address that. That code needs to be broken. But I think it should also come from the media. I'm not trying to be critical. I'm not, because many times you don't know who the final decision maker is. When a reporter is putting together a story and it's a cold case, and then they want to end it with, anyone with information, blah, blah, blah. So you don't know if the reporter put into their piece, the segment, that there were several individuals that have information, but they're not cooperating with police. You don't know if a news director or even higher says, we're going to take that part out because it kind of, why? Because it throws off the element of the cold case. The point I'm trying to impress upon you is I'm not saying that that's not a Providence thing. It certainly is not a Rhode Island thing. So, but it's a mentality. It is a culture. It's a culture that I don't hear addressed. I don't. Maybe people can point me to examples where it is. I don't hear it addressed. I don't. Let's go to some other recent examples. We were pleading with people information on the Charlotte Lester case. Come forward. You may have this. Boom, boom, boom. It's foreign to me. Let's take that culture from wherever, Manton Avenue or anywhere, and then put it into that. So what if, people know that something happened with the Charlotte Lester case, but the whole thing, don't snitch. We're not telling. I can't even begin to accept that. So we're not talking about organized crime. We're not talking about, a bunch of guys are involved in a robbery and the old thing, better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6, which is, it's better to keep your mouth shut, not say anything, go on trial, than face the other. So we're not talking about that. We're not talking about omerta. We're not talking about they keep the secret or things like that. We're just talking about this is a general culture out there. You don't say anything. You don't say, even if you know who's involved, you don't say anything. That has to change. I think it has to change. Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by our friend Marie at It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. I want to remind you, especially those, now right now, if you're on Mendon Road in Cumberland or near there, diagonally across from Davenport Restaurant, you have that historic white church. You have a hard-working local business individual, and her entire focus and devotion is trying to help you and your family stay healthy. Because remember, it's about my health. It's about your health. And you walk in, and the service is great, and she has all kinds of healthy, whether it's ingredients, natural, or vitamins, or local products. It's quality merchandise. You want to support a local business person, retailer like that. And right now, I am willing to bet there are people that you're on Mendon Road or near there. You hear it. You hear me. You drive by there all the time. For whatever reason, you've never popped in. Pop in and see the Queen of Health, Maria. It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland, diagonally across from Davenport Restaurant. And remember, she has tremendous hemp and CBD products. She has unique tea. It's My Health local honey. It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening. It is the John DePietro Show. It's AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. Yes, we're going to be doing Road Patrol Live tonight. Yes, we'll be available this weekend. The weather forecast, as I mentioned, looks great. Now, I know some people are saying about PVD Fest. I've never been to PVD Fest. I don't plan on attending. I don't think it's geared for me, which is totally fine. We'll definitely be ready because that brings a lot of people in the city. But I want to once again commend the work of the Providence Police, because that little girl, little Nile, that was shot, and I go back to people like, well, I certainly hope she's going to be okay. I mean, maybe some people don't understand the definition of critical condition. I saw someone posting, well, I know people that have come out of critical. Oh, good. It's all about you. Yeah, not everybody does. Not everybody. I know people that have come out of critical. Well, I certainly hope she's going to be okay. Well, she isn't. She died late Monday afternoon, and I know that must have been a very, very difficult position. But I can't emphasize enough. What if they didn't catch the shooters last weekend? What would last weekend in Providence have been like? What if they didn't catch the shooters this week? And now you have PVD Fest coming up. Would have been a very, very different situation. I just want to remind people, I'll tell you, and as I've said, where I feel for our local law enforcement is they're up against it. And Mayor Smiley has done everything he can to try to support the Providence Police and the chief of police in Providence, Oscar Perez, who I think is doing a very good job. And they're hiring new people. And those of you that watch Road Patrol Live, when we go to Bolton, there's 3 cruisers there, and so many times many more. And you need that. Look at Cranston the other night. But I want to repeat what I highlight, and I don't hear other media highlight, is, okay, we do have East Providence Police do a very good, Seekonk Police do a very good job, but East Providence Police do a very good job. I like the Pawtucket Police a lot. Obviously, I cover Warwick, Cranston, Providence a lot. But I want to repeat, and the state police did a good job the other night in Cranston. That was a difficult situation. Some nutcase is firing around in the neighborhood and firing at police, for crying out loud. But here's the part. What I believe, and I've said this before, but what is so unfair is the atmosphere that this governor, this McKee Matos administration, the conditions of which they're putting our local police in. I think it's very, very unfair. Now, listen, the guy in Cranston the other night, the nutcase, ended up taking his own life. He wasn't an illegal, so I'm not talking about that. But I'm just talking about a lot of the crime. A lot of those of you that watch Road Patrol Live, how many times do they say Spanish-speaking officer needed? We show up at a scene, there's a language barrier. Remember also, those individuals, many times they don't report crime because they're not citizens. And they are taken advantage of. I'll say that. Who takes advantage of them? The Providence Teachers Union takes advantage of them. I'll tell you that much. Now, many times, a lot of people don't realize this. I do communicate with people on behalf of some of these individuals. There's a playground, and there was these young punks and kids. There was a shooting near it, and these kids were hanging around there late at night. And so now, so some people approach me, and their daughter speaks English. They do not. They address me as Juan. They feel more comfortable talking to me because they refer to me as Juan. And she was saying her dad has to get up early. These people work, and they have to get up at 4:30 in the morning. I didn't ask to see immigration papers, but they're fearful of saying anything at the playground near them where these local degenerates, hoods, are staying up drinking and smoking well into the night, and then they make noise, and then they can't sleep and get up at 4:30. So, again, the children were very, very nice and courteous. They asked if I could pop by their house. I did. I won't reveal where. The house, is it in a dangerous neighborhood? It's a really dangerous neighborhood. Is the street a dangerous street? The street is a very dangerous street. Inside the house, you could eat off the floor. Inside the house was immaculate. The children acted as translator. They wanted to feed me. I declined. No offense. They offered me water, which was fine. The house was beautifully kept. They were all well groomed. And so I did act to alert someone that I knew that could put those kids should not be at this park late into the night, keeping all these people awake. My point is, and then they went on to tell me that they were not exactly happy with how one of their children was being treated in the school. And one of the members of the Providence Teachers Union was basically like, well, you're going to keep your mouth shut or, and then they threaten them like, oh, we'll call immigration on you. So no, I can't solve every problem. But then we come to like the Providence schools that are a complete disaster because of the teachers union. So they were saying to me, is there any way we can get our children into the charter school? And it is true the children perform better, but there's only so much I could do. But I'll say that. I'll say that much of inside. Again, they can't control the neighborhood. They're renting. They can't control how everything else. Inside, immaculate. Clean beyond, unbelief. Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by J. Perry Paving. If you're thinking of getting a driveway paved, call J. Perry Paving today. Free estimate. Call them 401-732-1730. 401-732-1730. Letter J. J. Perry Paving. Licensed and insured. Hey, learn the benefits of asphalt paving. Brand new paving project or just a cracked driveway. J. Perry Paving. Licensed and insured. And I want to remind you, if you are a veteran or you're related to a veteran, no one has a better package for veterans than J. Perry Paving. Now, I deal with the owner of J. Perry Paving. I like him. We're friends. I respect him. He said to me, I want to come up with a package to give back to our veterans. And that's what they have created. So if you're a veteran, you're not going to get a better deal. Or maybe your grandfather is, or maybe your uncle is. I want to be very clear. As you're listening to me on this Thursday, this beautiful Thursday in September, if you are a veteran or related to one, maybe your mom is, dad, grandmother, grandfather, uncle, brother, son, and you would like to get their driveway paved. That's something worthwhile. 401-732-1730 for letter J. J. Perry Paving. Well, folks, good afternoon. As we're coming up on 12:50, you are listening to the John DePietro Show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. Something less than a week to go to the presidential debate. Less than a week to go to the presidential debate. In this 2024 Race to the White House update, which is brought to you by Propane Plus. Remember, for all your propane needs in Rhode Island, call Propane Plus, 401-885-4209. In Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. There's a lot at stake. I think it's a good thing they're going to mute your mic if it's not your turn to speak. I'm not trying to be overly dramatic. But right now at 12:50 on this Thursday, if you think that it's going to be President Trump in a landslide, I don't think you're paying attention. This is going to be a really close election. I think, as I said to Donna Perry, it's very interesting to me that in this day and age, when you hear about the amount of money that they can spend on focus groups and the amount of money they can spend on social media and the amount of money they can spend on everything else, what this race, the race for the White House of 2024, what this could come down to is and the most important factor is the element of the ability to debate. It could come down to that. We already know the effect of the first one, which was it knocked Biden out of the race. And I also want to repeat, I still maintain, I know people think, let's see how everything plays out. I hope that we're not going to learn, I pray actually, that was not as much as people say it was a mistake for Biden to agree to debate that early, I still agree with and believe it was a huge mistake for President Trump to agree to debate that early. So because in hindsight now, it was Biden that pushed for that debate. Biden thought, or his team did, that he was going to go up there and boom, 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 and then he was going to overtake him in the summertime. Think of right now the position. It's almost sad. Well, it is actually sad. It's not almost sad. It is sad. Think of the position President Trump could be in if next Tuesday night he was going to be debating President Biden. But anyhow, so how he does next Tuesday, how the moderators are going to be. Harris, I'll say one thing about her. She's obviously very controlled, and they're writing everything out for her. But it only matters if you can deliver it. A lot of her policies, they're not the policies she ran on. She does have a record. But boy, if there was ever a time, and I mean if there was ever a time, and if you pray and want to pray on this September 5th, next Tuesday night, you need President Trump to be relaxed. You need him to be presidential. You need him to be prepared. You need him to be even-tempered. If there was ever a time for him to be focused and dialed in and even reserved, it's coming up this Tuesday. Is it fair? Is it fair the entire election could be decided by two debates? I mean, my first instinct would be, no, of course it's not fair. But those two debates may end up deciding this election. You know, when you think of debate, anyway, to me, when I first hear that, you think of Kennedy-Nixon. That certainly seemed to change the election of 1960. That was also the beginning of television. And then you think of like the Lincoln-Douglas debates. So there are things that there's a huge part of that I still really like because they're unscripted. You get to hear from them directly. I wish there were more than one, but right now there's one, and this may be the only one. But I just really pray that President Trump takes the right temperament, goes in and recognizes the situation that's in front of him and delivers, because there's a lot riding on the line. The next couple of days, the NFL season kicks off tonight, and then that first debate is next Tuesday, and then this season's the NFL season. Folks, I want to remind you on this Thursday of Volare Motors, specializing Volvo sales and service, quality pre-owned vehicles. Are you thinking, I could use a better vehicle? You don't always have to have a brand new vehicle. The pre-owned, they've been broken in. Paul Staskevich, he and his mechanic, Steven the mechanic is golden. Pop in and see what they have. 1003 Park Avenue in Cranston. They specialize in Volvo sales and service. They stock all types of Volvo and Ford trucks. It's Volare Motors. Great prices, great vehicles, tremendous service. Volare Motors, Park Avenue in Cranston, New England's #1 dealer, pre-owned Volvo sales and service. Stop in and see my friend Paul at Volare Motors. Now, Jim sent me a message. Jim is worried about some branches in his backyard. Jim knows hurricane season is coming. Jim sent me an email and asked, who do I recommend to trim those tree branches? Contact JD's Lawn Care and Tree Service. No, I'm not the owner. I just share the same initials. JD's Lawn Care and Tree Service is your listing right now on this Thursday. If you have some branches that need to be trimmed, JD's Lawn Care and Tree Service, 401-441-0154. That's what I would do. hey, have the branches come down now as opposed to waiting till some heavy wind come and then they bring them down for you. And not the way you want. JD's Lawn Care. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePietro Show. Yes, we will be doing Facebook Live later. Of course we will. Let me just see. I don't see any major headlines. Obviously, the situation in Georgia is been, the big story with another school shooting, but it's also very different. Georgia has very lax laws. From what I understand, and the FBI is going to come under fire for this, and that is that a year ago, this kid was flagged for something posted in one of these gaming chat rooms. They went, they talked to the parents. The parents said, "Oh no, our firearms are secure." They knew about him. He denied he had posted it, but then the family moved. And as I have also talked about many times, I understand the nature of there's many laws to protect juveniles. There's many laws that protect minors. But this was this was a problem individual. And those parents need to be held accountable. If you have there's nothing ever normal about if someone is 12 or 13 or 14 talking about, I'm going to shoot up the school. That's not something you just say. It's not a casual thing. Those weapons, they needed to be secured. And the parents, you had the parents in Michigan that face it. I don't know what it's going to take until some parents start to take it serious that they're responsible for what their children do. That there is you can't say we didn't see this coming. They knew about it a year ago. They need to put something in. I don't know what caused the parents to move. Maybe they moved because the kid was flagged. But the way I understand it, there's no mechanism in place that then followed that child. So now he's going to go to school. He's in a new home, whatever, and they don't know about it. A lot of the violence that's being committed, it's being committed by teens, by minors, by juveniles. Folks, I also just want to remind you, if you're worried about mosquitoes and ticks, and you should, West Nile virus is very serious. I want to fully endorse Mosquito Joe, Rhode Island. Mosquito Joe of Rhode Island. They treated our property. Can sit outside. It's amazing. No mosquitoes. Mosquito Joe, Rhode Island. Folks, it's 12:59. Dan McGowan of the Boston Globe. You're going to hear him next hour. Road Patrol Live later. It's the chosen one on this Thursday. What we're going to do is we're going to break for the 1 o'clock news. I have good news. We have another full hour of the radio show coming up. AM 1380, 99.9 FM. We'll listen online at the website. We're back on the other side after the 1 o'clock news.